Ladies and gentlemen, I greet you once more. My name is Dr. Ngwakuma Ruta, and as promised, I'm going to share with you the knowledge or information about the other stage of the record life cycle, which is the disposal. As I said, the disposal, it depends also on the value of the record. If records are ephemeral, obviously it will have a short-term value and it will lead to destruction as a form of disposal. But if the records have long-term value, the eventual action will be transferred to archive repository, wherein the records may be kept permanently for public consumption or citizen consumption, because such kind of records are of interest to the community at large, not only to the business that created it or organization that created it. And this stage happens mostly to the records that are inactive or are not active. So these kind of records are totally no longer useful to the organization of origin or organization of creation. In other ways, the organization are no longer having any business interest on this kind of records. And the records manager and the unit need to follow appropriate procedure for disposal in order to gain authority from the national archivist or the archivist to destroy or dispose such kind of records. So the other thing is that also at this stage, there are some activities or actions that need to be taken before the stage can even be reached. These include, as I said, or as applicable in the other stages of the life cycle, the policy development policies must be ready and available at this stage for implementation, because this stage is also one of the implementation stage. So the policy will cover issues relating to how records need to be disposed and what kind of records will be disposed. And your filing plan must also have a retention period. Remember, the file plan is the content is divided into 3 columns. The first column with the reference numbers, and the second one description of the file or subject matter of per reference or per file, and the last column of the structure is the retention period for each file as per the file plan. So at this stage, the disposal will be discharged following or as guided by the file plan. So the file plan will be developed also before the stage can happen. Remember, the file plan is also used for filing during the storage and maintenance. And at this stage, the retention period or transfer interval for records with enduring value will be determined already, and for the record manager and staff, it will be just to implement as per the retention period. And the mode of destruction also must be in the plan to show how ephemeral records are going to be disposed of. Remember, even if the ephemeral records are useless, are not useful for the organization to an extent that they need to be destroyed, it is very vital that they are destroyed in such a way that the information may no longer be useful or accessible to anyone. Because if that is not the case, information may be accessed to the wrong people who may use the information against the organization or negatively towards the progress of the organization. So the mode of destruction is very important for the ephemeral records or records without long-term value. And I can give an example of the risk that in most instances organization may take. Recycling. Some organization may, for example, opt for outsourcing destruction of records to the private company for recycling. In this case, the other issue is that the destruction of ephemeral records must be done under the supervision or monitoring of the record manager, because otherwise the private company may also use it for different purposes, use the same information for different purposes. Because most of the in some organization you may find that they allow the recycling company to collect the records without destroying them first, and they believe they will be destroying them when they arrive at their organizational facilities. That is a very high risk, because one may never know the intention behind or the use of the information. Even if it's not that recycling company's intention to use the information, the people involved, some of them may tamper with the information or use it in such a way that is negative towards the organization that created it. What is more advantageous is in case you are managing or creating the records electronically, you need to have electronic records disposal guideline, so that it is not a struggle when it comes to disposal of the electronic records. Remember, electronic records also occupy space, though it's electronic hard drive in the server and wherever on cloud, and sometimes the companies pay for such spaces. They pay according to the quantity of the information stored. So it is also important to dispose the electronic records to save space and money. So archival records are also transferred to archive following a particular procedure and policies. So you don't just wake up in the morning and pack all the records that you think are archival and transport them to archive. No, you have to follow the policies and guidelines of the archive, because they also guide as to how these records need to be packaged, need to be arranged, and they may also need your file plan, so that going forward in their custody they can follow the same filing plan to keep the records permanent. Remember the principle of prevalence and post-disfund. In short, that is all I can share today, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for listening and watching.